Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Dina, this is Creative Minds Homeschool, and today I want to share with you how we are liking the good and the beautiful for language arts. Okay, so this is a requested video. One of my subscribers asked, she's curious how we are liking the good and the beautiful. So I just wanted to take a few minutes to tell you about each subject that we're covering with it and how we're using it and what we think of it, okay? So I'm gonna start by just basically explaining in general what I think of this curriculum. Basically, I would call it kind of a spiral approach to language arts. You don't cover every subject in a day as far as the different subgroups. Basically, it covers spelling, phonics, sight words, writing, literature, grammar, art, and reading. You don't cover all of those in one day. You cover a lot of them in one day, but not all of them. When I say art, it's really art appreciation. It's not like doing art themselves at this point. It's appreciating fine works of art that are printed for them to look at in their book, if that makes any sense. So I'm gonna go down the checklist and tell you what they recommend that you do in a day, just to kind of get you an idea. All right, so they recommend 10 minutes of reading on their own out loud. That's what they're supposed to do. 5 to 10 minutes of working on their spelling words, 5 minutes of working on their phonics cards, 5 minutes of sight words, and 30 to 40 minutes in the course book. And they're supposed to work on poetry memorization 1 to 2 times a week. So that's what we're supposed to be doing. So for my family, I don't know that we're all that unique, but I lucked out because I have a 3rd grader who's kind of been a reluctant reader-writer, and I have 2 1st graders that are a little bit, I don't know if I'd call them advanced, but just, they tested into level 1, he tested into level 1. For whatever that means, that's where they are. Level 1 doesn't correspond to grade level so much from what I've read and had explained from the website. So it's just kind of, you put your kid, no matter their age or grade, where they fit on the placement test. So they were all good to start with level 1. I probably could have gone with level 2 for Everett. He was kind of borderline. Since he was borderline anyway, I figured we would just start with level 1 with him so that he could learn in a group setting because he likes that so much. He kind of thrives on that. And also because I figured any gaps that he might have, we're going to kind of fill them in as we go and lay a very good foundation for him in language arts. So that's why I chose to go with level 1 for him and for them. Okay, so they're supposed to work with the parent, the teacher, whatever. Their course book time, they're supposed to do that one-on-one with the teacher. Basically, we've tried it that way, and we've tried it as a group. And for us, it works better as a group. One reason is we get done with our school day faster, and they like that. Another reason is they're in the same room, and they're hearing us do the same thing. So by the time they get to it, they feel like they already know it, even if they haven't really looked at it as deeply as what I want them to. So it just helps us. We're all talking about the same thing, looking at the same thing. It works well for them. So it's like win-win in my book. But if you're doing multiple levels, they recommend like individual one-on-one time with the teacher for that course book 30 minutes block or whatever. On the days that we don't do it together, which are very rare, but like if there's a reading assessment day, because they do have reading assessments that come up periodically that you can do, the way I've done it is I pull one kid aside and they're going to work with me. One's going to go do their reading in the reading area we have out of the schoolroom, and one's going to do the listening center in the schoolroom, but in the little center circle time area that is off to the side. So, and then we just rotate through those stations. Okay, so I'm going to tell you about each subject and kind of tell you what we're doing for it. For spelling, I would say it takes us longer than 5 to 10 minutes to do spelling, typically. What we're doing, and if you haven't watched my video about making spelling fun, I'm going to put a link, I think it's up here. And I'll just go through some ideas and activities that I found, and I'll just tell you some of the ones that we've used. We've used a lot of them, but a lot of the physical ones have really gone over well, like the balloon spelling, where basically I get a balloon and we, for every letter, they hit the balloon and then they catch it at the end and say the whole word. That's worked well. Jump spelling, which is basically they start on one edge of the carpet, and every time they spell a word correctly, they take a big jump. And I wrote it, like as they spelled it out loud, I wrote it on a board, a little dry erase board, so they could see what they were doing. And then, you know, see who can jump all the way to the wall. Oh, see who can get all the way back. They loved that. Another one we did, I had them each write on the board their spelling list, which they recommend that you do 5 to 7 words at a time. So I had them write their whole list, and then we took turns like doing jumping jacks, or just I let them suggest different exercises we could do as we spelled the word. So, you know, it'd be E-V-E-R-Y, every, and we go to the next one. That one went over well. So basically we alternate between writing in their notebook, like this would be an example of what we've done in their notebook. Like we got sticky dots in each, like this one was actually vowels and consonants. Like we did the vowels in one color, the consonants in a different color. But we do either it's a creative writing type thing, like we might rainbow write our words, sticky notes, we do sticky dots. We might do like fancy, she has one in here that's like, she was just making fancy letters. This one says great, and grandma, and build. You know, just anything to get them writing. Some like it more than others. Everett is like quick and done. He just likes to be through. That's not always his favorite. The writing part is not his favorite. So he'll be like, let me just write them 3 times and be done. They recommend that you write like a sentence with each word every day. My crew was like, that is too much for them. So we do like 2 to 3 sentences a day. And I'll tell them like, pack it full of spelling words. Put all the ones you can think of. You know, pay attention if you use a word that you used to, that was on your spelling list before. Use it again so you can kind of keep remembering those. And periodically I review like old spelling words. Just depending on the activities, like if we do block spelling, I might go through their current spelling word and then throw in some ones that they haven't done yet or did before. Just, and they'll be like, Mama, I already know how to spell that. I'm like, well, good, show me. You know, like I want to keep it fresh in their minds. So that's how we do spelling. Let's see what else. The next thing is phonics. And for phonics, they have different pages. Like I said, they spiral through. So every lesson is just kind of a little bit different. I'll show you a phonics lesson. Like the other day we did the sound of Y. So we like to draw if we have a story. So this is letter Y, robber guy, because he takes the sounds of E and I at the end of words. So, and that wasn't from this curriculum. I borrow stuff from others to help them remember. I like the little letter stories. So, but this was an example. Like this was, when it has a block, that's dictation. So the little purple words are words they had to read out loud. And then, you know, and it's explaining the spelling rules on this to them. And then at the bottom is just more practice with reading the words. Then, so this is one lesson. You have this page, then you come over here and do this page where they have to, it's like choose different things that have to do with that. Then on here, it had, this worksheet. They have a mini book that has the sound in it, which is in here, that they can read. They have dictation some more. So we might, depending on how fast and how cooperative they are, we may or may not get through a whole lesson in a day. But that's okay, because the next lesson, so see, and then it has like stories with the letter Y. That's all in one lesson. Well, it was kind of a longer lesson, but the next day is a reading review, and it's pretty short. It has, they're working on learning ING rules, and then it has 2 poems at the bottom. and they're supposed to do their reading assessment at the end of that. So basically, if they had anything left over from the day before, we worked through that, and then that day, since it was a reading assessment, I had them break off and we did separate stations or whatever. So that's the way they work the phonics. They also have a stack of phonics cards that you're supposed to go through daily, 5 minutes. I made myself a PowerPoint, which the way I have it on here right now isn't working the greatest, but I'll just show it to you just to give you an idea. If you've used All About Spelling at all, you'll be familiar. Like, they give you chunks of words. And so, like, say, pretend that the first one is in. So then it goes over here and it'll have fin, tin, win, sin. So I have to read through the chunks of words. Like I said, this is not being the most cooperative I've ever seen it be. But it has, like, so you can say k and s. So we just go through them like that. There's a lot of them that they spit out, they know. The hard, like the ones that are like AW, all, it may be at the end of words, you know. Sometimes it'll say whatever this sound may not be at the end of words, like it's not at the end of words, you know. So they're learning those. And this just makes it faster than trying to flip through cards. I need to figure out a better way to make my PowerPoint to really be a PowerPoint, because if I can click on it, it has where it'll just have the black letter and then it'll pop up after I click it and have the sound. So they can say it first without seeing it. So they'll remember it. I also put them on the sight words. I took a screenshot of like the first sight word. They have like these little, what they call sight word ladders. So basically I took a picture of this and put it in a slide, and then the next slide is this. And I'll just say, okay, Elin, you read this one. Evangeline, you read this one. Everett, you read this one. And we just go through. Yeah. And then every now and then I'll take them aside and really determine where they're at, which ones they know, which ones we can check off they've mastered. And they do have little pictures they can color to show how far along they are on the charts. So basically we just work, I'll set a timer or pay attention to the clock 30 minutes a day. However far we get, that's how far we got. Good for us. And we call it a day with language arts. Let's see, I didn't finish everything. Writing, they have like writer's workshop comes up. You spiral through that. So I'll give you an example. This was mobile school one day we did. Where I lost one of them. So on this particular day, it was if I could meet someone from the past, and then they say who they would meet and why. So Elin said, I would meet Jesus because I never saw him, and she drew a picture. That was hers. I could have had them elaborate, but apparently this was mobile school, so we were kind of zipping through that day. Everett said he would meet George Washington because he was the first president. Yes, he spelled president wrong. We got to fix that. And then Evangeline said she would meet Pocahontas because she was a real Indian princess. That's hers. But I like that it's just reinforcing that punctuation, capitalization, just using good spelling and writing and all that. So those come up. They also have worksheets that come up that help have them practice writing. Let's see. This is not exactly a writing activity, but they do have little things they write. Basically, they explain that in this level, they're not so much concerned with them being able to write big, long, drawn-out stuff. They're wanting them to basically learn the rules, learn how to spell things, like that kind of thing at this level. And then later on, you'll get more into in-depth writing stuff. So my crew is not in a hurry, and neither am I. We're just taking it as it comes. And that way, when the writing stuff comes up, they're like, oh, we'll do a writing thing. They're more excited to do it because it's not just like they're bogged down in it all the time. So for my crew, that's working. You know, hopefully as we increase that writing load, their ability to just be like, yes, let's do it, will increase also. We'll see. Let's see, grammar. We spiral through grammar on this one, so it'll have, we've covered nouns, verbs, adjectives, what a complete sentence is, that it has a subject, a verb, and a complete thought. We've talked about it needs a capital letter at the beginning, it needs punctuation at the end. We've talked about past, present, and future tense verbs. So they're like getting this, it pops back up all the time. And slowly builds as we go. So, liking that so far. And let's see, as far as literature, there's a level 1 reader. It was below Everett's level, so he's basically just reading whatever we have around the house that appeals to him, that is on his level. Which is working out. He's reading about Pearl Harbor one day and George Washington one day. You know, he just whatever. Evangeline has read the level 1 reader twice, and Elin is working her way through the level 1 reader, but she reads all kind of other stuff. It's not like we're bogged down in it. You know, so that's kind of, besides that, as far as reading goes, reading and literature, they have poetry studies that come up. So like, here's an example of a poetry lesson. And on this one, we read the poem, and we discussed what the lines mean. Then this one, they had to finish the poem. So she said, "Kitty, pretty little kitty up in the apple tree, could you come down to me," is what she said. And then this one, my prayer, "Dearest Lord, I kneel down and pray, I play today." Sunset, I wish, the sun is sinking out of sight, I wish you could come at night. So that was her endings to those poems. So those come up every now and then, like that we read poetry. I like that because I need help learning how to read poetry. I'm a terrible reader. And poetry just hits my brain in crazy funny ways and makes it do loop-de-loops. I don't know. It's just really bad. So it's good practice for mama to read poetry too. I'm trying to find another one of those. But anyway, that is basically, they have little reading passages come up sometimes. So they're practicing reading a lot. Art. Finish with art. So this is something, I am just so glad that they put art in here. It is good and it is beautiful, and it is something that I would not be regularly exposing my kids to if it was not in this book. Just because it's just work and it's extra, and I love that it's extra in here and it's scripted. I don't even have to think about what to say about it. It is written for me. We're all learning about the things as we go. They're cute little pictures, well, like cute little famous paintings by famous artists, you know. It tells like when who the artist was, when they lived and died. And it just goes through, you know, it says, art can bring you joy. Art helps you see and feel how wondrous and lovely the world around you is that God made. So, you know, it goes through and it tells like this painting was in France. Let's see. It's created many years before you were born. What are some things you like about this painting? So we usually will take, I'll set a timer for a minute, and I'll just have them look at the painting for a minute. And they'll tell me after 30 seconds, I'm done. I'm like, okay, well, look again. What else can you see? And they'll just study it for a minute. And then after that, I'll let them each take a turn and tell me something they saw that they liked about this painting. What do you see in here? What are they doing? You know, we talk about it. And it talks about, too, like, this says, what do you notice about the girls' clothing? Do you think they look new or old and worn out? These people are probably very poor, but the girl looks very happy. This gives us the message that we do not need lots of things to make us happy. The painting also shows the beauty of animals and nature. So if that is not good and beautiful, I don't know what is. I love that. So that is what we're doing with the good and the beautiful. We are liking it so far a whole lot. It has made my language arts life a whole lot easier. I love that my kids are all on one level. That is probably my saving grace. and probably why I like this curriculum so much. But I think even if I had them on different levels, it would be better than the other things that we were doing. So, and most of all, I have to say, I have seen a lot of growth in my kids since October or November-ish when we started this curriculum. I can't remember exactly when we started, but they have grown a ton. And just their spelling, their reading has come along. Things are just clicking for them, and I'm loving that. And it's worth, I'm so glad I kicked the other thing to the curb and started this, because it's a good fit for our family. Very pleased with it. So that is all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, feel free to give it some love. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free to put them down below. I love to hear from you guys. I love the community on here, and just that we get to interact and just share what's working and not working for anybody and everybody out there. I love your comments and your suggestions and everything. So keep them coming. And if you haven't subscribed, feel free to subscribe too. Would love to have you do that. Red button down there somewhere. And one more thing, this is not a sponsored post. And I'm not trying to get you to go buy the good and the beautiful if that's not what you need. So don't think that at all. One thing I have to say though, it is free to download this curriculum, levels 1 through 5. So if you're thinking that you're needing something, and like if something is not working for you, not if you have whatever's your work, if whatever you have is working, by all means, do what works for you and your family. But I loved that I could try it before I bought it. That was a big, huge plus for me, and that's exactly what I did. So go check it out if you're interested, and if you're not, no biggie. Anyway, I'll see you in the next one, guys.